then basically you just work towards you. Yeah, poor wood doesn't have any Novocaine.
Chris North is good at this.
Let's just say that when I do this, there's a lot of sanding involved.
And they've had a lot of Novocaine, right?
Yeah, I've had a lot of Novocaine. Now, one thing I do have in my shop is I have a dust collector on the back of my lathe, and it helps when you start doing this part of it particularly.
Some pretty fine dust.
Yeah. That's the advantage of hand carving. You don't get all the dust. You get shavings more. No, I just use this to make the lines with. And so the key is you have to work in layers. The temptation is to go ahead and do all the lines. Don't ask me how I know this, but it doesn't work well. So the next thing is, then I'll just use something like this. And I like the cone shape ones because then I can get into the area underneath better. Yeah. And what you're doing is you're just bringing it down to the next line, making sure you've got a okay. Now, instead of trying to show you the whole process, what I'm going to do is, now that I've got this one cut down some, what you would do if you do all of them this way is you go halfway, you line up the top here and here, and you're almost like doing spiral cuts. And then I'm going to cut this line, and then of course I'll have another one here and here,
And you work your way on down.
Work your way on down, and then you cut these out in between. So we'll finish up the top one here, though. I just want to show you that, you know, that's the process we're going to be doing. And then you just
better maybe in some situations to use, once you've marked the lines, to use the blade carving tool to actually hog that out.
you can do that. In fact, I'll show you that. Here we go. Use this. And what's over here? So.
Yeah.
Because now I'm
That holding enough for you?
yeah, that's good.
Are those regular gloves or they're the Kevlar?
They're
Look like they're carving gloves.
carving gloves.
Looks like they've got metal in them, it looks like. Or something like Kevlar or whatever.
Now, if I'm doing this off here, I've also got a couple of thumb things I put on my thumbs. So you don't, guards, thumb guards, yeah, leather thumb guards. So you can do it this way. Just work it down again. And there are a whole bunch of different tools you can use.
Is it in the right spot?
Yeah, it's in the right spot. What I'm trying to do is get down to the like I said, there's multiple ways you can do this. I've also got some heavy duty, just really hog the wood out, but you have to be careful with those because you'll end up with a and this is why doing the wood, you end up cutting off your lines, you end up redo them again anyway. So this is why we go this way. Sometimes you just do it.
I don't think I turned it on. Okay.
No, you didn't. I pushed it out because this doesn't have a big hard grip on it. Sometimes I find if you're doing hand carving, it just does better if you do it by hand.
Is there a rule, mathematical rule, how many petals you would start with? So
Usually
you can stagger.
6 to 8.
So it's an even number.
An even number, yeah. It doesn't have to be though. Like this has got 5, but if you do 5, like me, you're gonna have one fat one.
Yeah,
So like 6 or 8,
even numbers.
an even number works the best, yeah.
One thing I found out about carving,
Yeah.
those tools are really sharp. If
Mhm.
you aren't wearing protection, you don't know you cut yourself until you see blood on your workshop.
That's right, yeah.
I still got a finger that's numb from that.
Yeah. I had that experience, and where's all this blood coming from? Oops, oh, it's my finger.
That and 3 stitches later,
Well, I didn't require stitches, but
I did that time. And the thing is, I've been using it all day. It was toward the end, I was putting up and said, well, I can do this one little thing, so I grabbed it, and
yeah, another safety rule, if you get tired, quit.
if you get tired, quit, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, put this back in here. I don't have to bring my tool. It's got a much rougher edge on it, you know, it'll carve the wood out quicker. So now, again, here's my line. I don't know if you can see them or not. You can see how this one. One thing I have learned that if you want to do the power carving, you need a harder wood, the soft woods. That's how I had my pine turned out really ugly. So. So, and I used to, when I first started, I was really kind of overthinking it, trying to make them all uniform, and I found out I couldn't, first of all, because I wasn't that skilled yet, but two, it actually looks better if they're not all uniform. It looks more natural. And then just go through and kind of clean up the lines.
That's not uniform either.
That's exactly right.
So there's your first layer. And then you do the same thing, except now we're working from the points to the center. So here was my top here. Now I've lined this one up here. Now, if someone is good with pyrography, then you could do this with a smooth finish rather than a hard finish, and you could just burn that pattern in. And I think it would look really good, and you could put some texture in it. Me, I've tried that, and I'm not good at that yet. Me and wood burning belong in fireplaces. So that's kind of it. But if you do have that skill or you like doing that, then, because what I find is I have trouble, because with the wood trying to burn it, whereas if you're doing this, it works out okay.
When you have predominant grains, does the hard grain difficult to keep level, or
Yeah.
like yellow pine, you have a real predominant hard grain in there, and that really makes it sort of tough to do on something like yellow pine?
Yeah. The other thing is, because if you do this as a spindle cut, all right, I just did it again. So your end grains at the ends, it's a lot easier. But if you turn it the other way, you end up with end grain and the other. And it'll look good, but it's a lot harder in certain places to carve because of that.
get the bits from the same people who made the carving,
I just get them wherever.
like Dremel.
Dremel, 1/8 or Cutzel 3/32. Yeah. I mean, you can get them all over the place. You can get some really good tools like semi-long tools where they're about 10 to 20 bucks a piece. Or you can get cheaper ones. Just know that if you get cheaper ones, you'll be going through them more often.
Yeah.
But they still work. Because you can get a whole set for 20, 25 bucks, like a Dremel set. The key thing is there's two different kinds. There's the ones that are diamond finish. That's more for finishing. Then the tungsten or the carbide finish, without the diamond coating, more for cutting. And so you need to make sure you got some of both. Because if you don't, then you end up, you can use the sanding ones, but it takes a long time. Yeah, it takes a very long
I'll
time.
start in on the low level.
Yeah.
There's a Dremel out on the table for 15 bucks.
Yeah. The only problem with the Dremel, honestly, is great.
Wait,
It's big and heavy, and you're going to it wears you out a lot
Yeah.
quicker.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. The more you put into your tool, the lighter the hand pieces get, the more efficient they are, and you can work longer.
Better control.
Better control. Yeah. So this is sort of a beginner set, honestly. Yeah. Because that's what I am, really, in terms of the power carving. Now, it's important that you go ahead and get your lines done again and get them down. So, unfortunately, there are a couple of things that I usually bring that we had work done at the house. We had new floors put in. So my garage is full of house stuff. And so like my lights, I usually think, I couldn't get to them. They're back there, but I'm not going to move 3 chairs and a bunch of stuff to get a light. But having a light shine on it really makes it easier to see. I usually do that at home. Okay, so I'm kind. It helps a lot. And if it's, you can put like a white sheet under it. That'll help give us, particularly darker pieces will give you contrast. But having more light helps a lot. Because even though this is good, and it's hard sometimes to see what you've done. You're not sure you've done it right. If you've got good light, you can see how well you've actually got it carved better.
And then it's depending on what kind of finish or coating you're going to put on it.
Yeah.
If you put the sizing on it, that roughness and the sizing and the sprinkles will make it glitter more if it's rough like that versus smooth.
Yeah. Yeah, you can use a Dremel tool. Like I said, you can use a hand tool, or you can burn it in. If you've got, The only difference if I was going to do burning, I don't think I'd put the ridges in it. I think it'd look better without it, because that's just my opinion. You could try it either way. Yeah, just make a nice cone shape and burn that in. Now the other thing is, there are so many different ways you can finish this up. And one of them is to actually come back through after you're finished, you've got it kind of like you want it, is take a wood burner and go through all the lines again. give them a darker color, make them stand out, pop out more. And I think that would look good. And if you're not a very good wood burner, this helps because you got a nice groove to put your tip in. It's not going to go wandering everywhere.
One thing I found with wood burning, the coarser the grain, the harder it is to follow the pattern.
Yeah,
You need a real fine grain.
fine grain helps a lot, yeah. Now all I'm doing is cleaning up the upper lines, kind of give them a little more definition, because when you cut them out sometimes you'll lose that definition. All right, that looks better. The big ones, yeah, those are all basswood,
And they're all carved.
all hand carved, yeah, with hand tools.
One
And then, so now I've got my second row somewhat, and what I want to do is, again, go back and go ahead and clean those lines up so you can see them a little better. All right, so at this point, what I'm going to do is just pass this around and give you an idea. Now, when I finish, I'll put some texture on this. And I'll take some, but what I'll do is I'll work my way down, I'll flip it around to finish the bottom. And then I'll just take it off and texture this. I may put it, and then, maybe make it a little bit smaller.
So you're not cutting that tenon on, you won't cut the tenon on?
Now, tenon will end up being the top of the pine cone.
Oh, I see what you're saying, this is like the stem, yeah.
Yeah, be the stem, and then the bottom will just be cut down when we flip it around, and, when I flip it around to get to these bottom pieces, which is getting to that point now. Now, one thing that I'm not able to use the tool quite as effectively is because normally what I would do is, this tool got a nice flat edge on it, and I got a shorter one. It's got this flat edge. So when I'm rounding out, it'll go right in where keep that line sharper. So I don't have to go back and do it. But to get this side, I have to walk around on this side of the lathe. And then, of course, I'm blocking everybody's view and you can't see it, so I'm just doing it best I can and then going back and cleaning up the lines again. But normally I would work from this side and then cut this way, so I can use this flat edge to sort of keep the line more defined. Otherwise, what happens when I'm doing it this way, it kind of gets rounded over and sort of disappears, so I have to go back with my original tool and redefine those lines.
You don't ever use a carving vise?
Don't
have one?
I've got one, but I don't have one for my lathe.
Well, I mean, it could be on a workbench.
Yeah, and I do that too.
Yeah.
So just depends on what I'm doing. What I found is with this, particularly if you want to do something like this one,
Oh,
this one, instead of doing the full carving, all I do is I go to each layer, and I cut a divot out, rotate it, cut a divot, but leave a gap between them.
That seems easier.
Yeah. And then the next layer, you go in between, and then you back and forth again. And this gives it's a different look. It's a little more stylized rather than being a more realistic looking pine cone. But it makes a nice, particularly if you're going to put a finish on it.
Yeah.
If you're not trying to just do wood, I mean, I think it looks really nice, and it is quicker. So if I'm turning out these like I want to make a bunch for a Christmas tree, then I would do this format.
Yeah.
But you guys asked to see the carving, so I did the carving.
it's just a different,
Different technique, yeah. Or, if you want to get real fancy, after you've done this, then you come back with a tool like this or something smaller, and you work out each of the
Little fast.
petals,
yeah.
put a little facets and stuff in it.
Because actually the real pine cones have that little depression to some degree.
Little depression in it, yeah. And that's what that other little one I did. So, but again, of course, every time you add another step, it takes longer. But, so you can start off with just a simple, layered, very stylized pine cone. You can make realistic carving like this. You can do this one, which is pretty easy to do. It comes out quickly. Because the difference is here, I'll pass this around, or I'll just leave it on here. You guys come look at it. I think it'll be easier. You're actually cutting away each of these lines before you're finished. Because you'll end up with it'll end up being not smooth, but all these ridges will be gone. Whereas here, you're leaving the ridges in place, and you're just cutting around them. Like I said, that's the quickest turnout. So So any other questions?
What's your time, start to finish, typically?
Okay, this one took me about 2 hours. It took, 20, 30, doesn't take long to get the basic shape, 20, 30 minutes. And then the rest of it was doing that. Now, it took a little longer on the finish because I was experimenting with different finishes. But if you got a finish you want to work with, however long it takes to get the finish to dry and all that, you can add a little bit of time to it. But you can do a bunch of these and finish them all at the same time if you want to. Yes?
Have you ever thought about, after you've got your final different sizes, casting those? Making mold and then casting them. It's still your hand work. You're finishing it with different finishes. It's not wood, but it's still your work. You've got the originals, and you can make multiples far less than 2 hours apiece. I'm just throwing that out.
That's a great idea. But I've done production, so it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, but if you were into like what Hans is doing,
Correct.
I think that's a great idea. You could cast them, and then you could
Make a mold
make a mold
Right.
and cast them.
and cast them, and then you could
What about
Turn them out.
lightweight material,
lightweight material.
and then you can actually even personalize each one a little bit more.
Yeah,
In only a couple of minutes, and then you do your finish
yeah.
out the door.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, that's a great idea. One, I don't have the epoxy tools or whatever for casting. Of course, you could even cast it in metal if you're so inclined, but or clay. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could do it.
Silver,
Yeah.
gold.
So, but if you no, if you made a mold out of it and you wanted to do it out of plaster, like they do the what you call it.
If you have, and I'd say to anybody, if you have the time, you're down the south side, there's a company called Smooth On, and they make all the silicone rubbers for molds, castings and stuff. They've got a store down the south side. You walk in there, the stuff that is absolutely amazing, the stuff that people can make by doing, coming up there with the talent of coming up with something to mold from.
Right.
It's really something. And it's expensive, but not that expensive.
Right.
But it's really a pretty cool store to go.
Of course, the other option would be if someone was into ceramics, or you had a wife or
Correct.
who was into ceramics.
Absolutely.
You can make a mold for ceramics, and they could pour the
Absolutely.
ceramics in it, and then make ceramic versions of these things. Yeah. So that's a great idea. I'm glad you mentioned it. This is my hobby. Like I said, it keeps me in the garage and out of my wife's hair. She said I could do any hot. Well, what was I was still working. She was retiring. She said, before you retire, you have to have a hobby. So I started off with the wood carving and went to this. And she said, there's one exception. You cannot do anything with quilting because that's mine. We are not going to do this together. Yeah.
For a barn quilt.
Yeah.
It's not made out of, it's made out of wood.
Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.